Welcome back. So today we're going to take a look at the new Photoshop that was just released yesterday. This is release number 22, known as Photoshop 2021. The release is in October of 2020. This is a major update for Photoshop. Now, major meaning that it has a lot of new features and one major new feature. However, it's not really ready yet, and you will notice that it has a lot of items that are selected as beta, meaning we're just trying it out. Now, the cool aspect of this is they actually have a feature that you can review it once you use it. So we will go in and take a look at the new neural engine inside of Adobe Photoshop and all the different options that you have in there. I've tried out a few of the options. Some work really good and some don't really work so good. But the cool thing is they put it up there. They're looking for feedback. You can actually send your images back with what you did with it, whether you like it or didn't like it. And that's going to give them some opportunity to fix those issues. All right, now the first thing that we're going to take a look at is probably the biggest new feature as far as Photoshop and photographers, and that is the new sky replacement. So I have this image here, and we are going to go up to Edit, and under Edit, you'll notice that we have something new, and that is called Sky Replacement. So go ahead and select that, and that brings up this new dialog panel, and I'll just move it over here right next to the image. Now, the cool thing about this is it already has some skies loaded in it. However, if you do want to upload your own images, you can do that. So we can come in here and we have a variety of different images. And notice we can add or move folders or delete images from this option. In this case, I think we're going to go with this colorful sky right here, and I'm going to select that. And you can see it automatically replaces the old sky with this image and blends it into the new one seamlessly. For this image, it's working really well. Now up here, we have some items. So we have Shift Edge. Now what the Shift Edge is gonna do, and I will zoom in here, and I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not, but just like in any edge, we can shift the edge this way or this way to get it to blend. So we'll do some extreme edge shifting so you can see it moved it up. And then if we come here, we're gonna move it down. In this case, I actually think it did a pretty good job where it was at. So we're going to go ahead and leave that at 0 because it did a good job blending that image. Then it's fading the edge. So we're at 100%. We can give it a little bit less fade. And so it's not going to bleed or blend down as much. And you have that control that you can just slide this any which way you want until you get the image that you're looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it back at 50%. Now, the next thing that we have, and this might not be open when you originally open this image up, and all you need to do is do sky adjustments, and then there's also something called foreground adjustments. Now, sky adjustments, we can control the brightness or darkness of that image, as well as the Kelvin temperature, so we can make that cooler or we can make that warmer. We're just going to go ahead and leave this here. We can also flip it. So I can flip this horizontally, meaning left to right. So we can flip the sky one way or another. Now this could be helpful if you have lighting coming in a certain direction and the lighting in the sky is in the opposite. So all you need to do, click the flip. That way the lighting matches the lighting in your original image. Next thing that we have is foreground adjustments. And so what foreground is your original image. So what can we do? We control the lighting mode. So right now we're doing multiply, which is going to darken, or screen, which is going to lighten the area where the blend is. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave multiply because it's darkening as it blends and fades over. And in this case, I think it's looking better. Now we can control that as well in a slider. So I can slide this either to the left and get less of it, or right and get more of the multiply effect. I can also change the color in my foreground. Now this one's really cool. Notice we have a very warm color here, and we had sort of a cool color here. So what I can do is slide this slider and bring some of those colors down here into this image. And this is very helpful. And then we can come in here and slide this stuff around any which way you want, you have a whole lot of control. Then once you're done and you think your image looks good, this is my favorite part, output. We have output to new layer or to duplicate the layer. So we'll just go ahead and hit new layer, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit OK. And you can see here's the sky replacement group. They're all grouped, it's been clipped, and they give you the mask to use in your image. Probably the best feature. So instead of just doing this and being stuck with a non-destructive adjustment, you actually get the image mask and everything that Photoshop did. So you can come in here and alter it. That way, if there's one little teeny tiny area that you want to fix or adjust, you have the ability to do that. So that's sky replacement. That was an easy sky to replace. So let's go find something that's a little bit more difficult. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this. And once again, we're going to go up here to edit, down to sky replacement, and we're going to look for a different sky, though that one looks pretty cool in there. But we're going to find something maybe a little bit more neutral colored that blends in with this image. So this is sort of flat. Let's see what this looks like. That looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and choose this right here. And I'm going to just click out of there so it will apply it. And you'll notice this image here. You can see right here along this edge, and I'm going to zoom in, it's got a little bit of a halo. Now with a little halo, remember we can blend or shift our edges one way or another until we get that blend to look exactly how we want. We can fade that edge so that the edge fades into it as well. So I have a whole lot of control. I can also control the brightness of the sky. So if I want to make it a little bit brighter, and I can control that temperature if I want to cool it down just a little bit from where it was. Right here, I can change that to screen, which doesn't look good, or multiply. Now, what's really cool is it did a really good job masking out this tree and putting this exactly behind the image. And that's really what I was looking for in this image, was how well can it blend or put a sky behind something that would be normally a very complicated adjustment. I think we have a little bit of issue here, but it's definitely something that I can go into and kind of fix and play with. So we have our lighting adjustment and our color adjustment. And then once again, we can go ahead and output that, and we'll just zoom out. We'll just zoom in actually a little bit. And I'll go ahead and turn this layer on and off, on and off. And you can see, yes, there is a slight halo that we need to fix. Now I can come in there and kind of play with that. I can also come in here and adjust some of this image here. So I can go here to the image sky mask, and we're going to change that. So we're going to go up here to filter, down to other, and then we're going to change this to maximum. And you can see when I do that, it's overlapping a little bit. We want to just get this blend a little bit better. So I'm going to just slide this to where I think we've lost most of that halo, and that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead, hit OK. And now that little halo that we saw is gone, just using that simple technique of going into the mask and kind of shifting that edge manually instead of inside of that adjustment. And bam, just like that, we've got a completely new image. That is sky replacement, and that's probably the biggest feature in here inside of Photoshop, except for their new neural engine. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. The next thing that we're going to take a look at is this black and white image. And we're going to go up here to the new section, which is the neural engine or artificial intelligence inside of Photoshop. So you're going to go up here to filter and then drop down to neural filters. Neural filters is going to bring up a new dialog box. Now, when you get this, a lot of these filters are not automatically downloaded. So what you're going to do is click on this little icon, and we are going to drop down, and this is giving you all the different filters. And you can see right here, there's a lot that have beta on top of them. We'll just kind of go through these really quick and explain what they are. So smart portrait. Now I've tried this out. This is kind of a kitschy feature. I don't think it's realistic to use. It's somewhat similar to liquify. But basically what you're doing is you can change the expression of your subject. It does warp and modify the head. It's not something I would probably use in real life. If I was trying to do an illustration or something fun, I think it has possibilities. Makeup transfer. So here you can pick an image like the one on the left and apply that makeup to your subject. We will try this. I will show you one. It did okay in the eyes, but it did horrible in the lipstick. The next thing that we have is depth aware haze, and we're going to go ahead and try this. So what it's going to do is add haze to your background, but it's understanding the depth. So it's going to put more haze in the background and less haze up front. Then we have colorize, and that's what we're going to do here on this image in just a second. We're going to take this black and white image and let it colorize that image. I did it on a portrait and it did not work very well. Super zoom. So here we can zoom in and crop an image and let Photoshop find and add detail to compensate for the loss of resolution. This is something I'm personally never going to use. I take an image how I want to use it, but it's something you can try out and play with. We're not going to cover it today. JPEG artifact suppression. So it's going to remove artifacts in your image. Haven't tried it out yet, but it's something we can try out. Then we have photo restoration. So here we have an old image and it can restore your new image automatically. Dust and scratches, where it's going to replace your dust and scratches. Noise reduction. In this one, it's going to reduce noise. Before we were doing this in Adobe Camera Raw, but let's say you had a JPEG image. Instead of going back into Raw and using that noise reduction, we have a new artificial intelligence noise reduction. We have face cleanup. And so this is going to clean up your face. So this is going to remove lighting issues. It's going to remove any imperfections in the face and enhance portraits. We are going to do photos to sketch. So it's going to take an image and turn it into a sketch. This is something you can do right now. You just have to know how to do it. You're going to take sketch to portrait. So we can take a sketch and turn it into a portrait. We can do pencil artwork, and we can take a face and turn it into a caricature. And we're going to go back up here. There is one other thing that we have here, and this is first skin smoothing. So we have the ability to smooth skin, and then we have this style transfer that's also in here. And you can see right here, these are saying that you need to download them from the cloud to use them. There is a large integration with the cloud with the new Photoshop. And you'll notice that a lot of the features inside that are new in 2021 have to do with working off of the cloud, not locally on your computer. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to go and test a few of these out. We're not going to go over every single one of them. Hey, you can test these out just as easily as I can. So let's go ahead and do color. To colorize this image, it's really easy. We're just going to come over here to colorize, and we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And you can see it's automatically colorizing that. Now I can go into the scene and I can adjust these different colors to adjust the tonal values of this. So if I wanted it more cyan, red, yellow, green, whatever you want, if I want to focus the color or I want to change the way the color interacts with the image, you can come in here and change all of this information. Now here's what I'm talking about before. Are you satisfied with the results? You can hit yes and no. And if you hit yes, it's going to bring up one item. And if you hit no, I'm just going to hit no for right now. You can see it gives you options to explain it and to add your image. That's actually my favorite part of this. All right. So that looks pretty good for there. We're going to go ahead and hit cancel, and we are going to delete this image. You can see it did an okay job, but not perfect. I'm not sure why this image is in here. So the next thing we're going to change is that dehaze. And let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see this. We don't got the whole image, but that's going to be okay. So we're going to go up to filter and back down to the new neural filters. And what we're going to be looking for now is the haze. All right, in this next image, we are going to try the depth aware haze. So we're going to come over here and turn this on. This is a beta filter. And just like that, you can see in the back, it's added a lot of haze. And as it's progressed forward, it's added less and less haze. Now it looks like we have a few masking issues. It looks like it missed some edges here, here, and here. So we can come over here. Notice we can change the haze. So we can add some more haze, or we can add less haze. And we can also click this and turn on the warp. So we can make it a cooler or a warmer haze, depending on what we want to do. Just like before, we can come over here and we can change this. So we can make a smart layer, a new layer, a duplicate layer with a mask, or a new current layer. So I'm going to do duplicate layer last. I'm going to hit OK. And just like that, it's added a new layer with a mask. I can turn that layer on and off, and you can see the effect. Now, because this has a mask, I can go in here and adjust the way this is working, but we're just going to go ahead and leave it like this for now. Hey, this is something you need to go and play with. So we're going to go ahead and quit this image. We're going to go ahead and quit that image and move on to the next one. So the next one is kind of interesting. So we're going to come up here back and go to neural filters. What I'm going to use here is what's called makeup transfer. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. Now it's saying the reference image. Which image do you want it to reference the makeup from? And then apply to this image. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose Bindi. That is the image, this one, that I want to choose the makeup from. Now you can see when I did this, it applied the makeup and actually did a pretty good job on the eyes. We can zoom in here. But the lipstick is horrible. It's too strong. The opacity needs to be lowered and the masking is too harsh. It just doesn't look realistic. And then it's all over her teeth. Normally I would say, no, this doesn't look good. In this case, we're going to do it as a new layer. I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. And it's going to apply this to the image, right? So you can see we've applied this to the image. Just like anything in Photoshop, I can lower the opacity of this. If I was to come in here, I can basically make a mask. And now what I'm going to do is grab my black, and I have the black, and I'm going to go ahead and hit my brush. And let's go ahead and lower that brush so it's a little bit smaller. I'm going to lower the flow quite a bit because I don't want to do it too much. And basically, I'm just going to brush over this. And this is going to paint some of the opacity away just on the lips. It's not affecting the eyes. It's just doing it on the lips. So we're just brushing that away. And just like I did anytime, I can come in here and I can zoom in and I can change this. So usually when you're trying to do something more exact, you want a harder, smaller brush, and I can either paint something out. So I can paint that out of her teeth. And I might need to go over it a few times because remember, I have my flow really low here. And I can also blend this a little bit better. So right here where it doesn't look so good, we can just sort of blend that and fade that in. So one of the issues I had was it was just so harsh. It didn't look realistic for someone that had lipstick. So we could come in here and fix that. And this is just a matter of time, just kind of going over something and editing or changing your mask until you get it exactly where you want it. Now, I'm not going to spend tons of time doing this because it doesn't make that much of a difference, but you can see what I'm doing. Can we get this to work? Absolutely. It already looks a whole lot better. Is it something that I'm probably going to use? Not really. I can actually do makeup on my own, and I prefer to do that usually. Hey, but if it's something you want to try around with, it gets you a good starting point, but you need to understand how to go into and edit it and adjust it if you want it to work. Remember, these are just beta tests and they will improve over time in Photoshop. So the more feedback that you can give, more likely the better off you're going to be. All right, and the last thing that we're going to do is check out one more neural filter here. So we're going to go up here and back into neural filters. And since this is the last one, I just want to kind of give you a brief synopsis or my take on these neural filters. They remind me of the effects that you can do in Snapchat. You know, they're fun, they're playful, but are they realistic for someone as a professional photographer to use? Not really. Do they have potential? I think some of them. Actually, I do like the haze one, but basically everything else at this point, not something that I'm going to be using all the time. You know, the new dust and scratches might work. I haven't tried it out. A lot of these I'll have to get back to. Noise reduction might work really well. I'm not sure. I haven't spent the time to use it enough. You know, when programs come out, I can tell you what they do. It takes me time to use them to be able to give you sort of an honest opinion of how well they use. So I will be using them, and whenever I get an image that needs noise reduction, I'll both do it through the old camera raw filter, and then I'll come in here and I'll try it this way. I'll see which way works best, and then later on I'll be able to give you some more information as to how well they work. Now, these are kind of fun. There's some cool things that you could do with these. I'm not going to go into it. Anybody can come in here and click on these different effects options. But for right now, we're going to stay away from them. So the last thing is Smart Portrait. It's just kind of a fun thing. Basically what it does is just let you change or alter your subject. So I can add hair. So if I want to add more hair to his hair, I can come down here and increase that. We'll give him quite a bit more. And you can see what it does though. It takes quite a long time to apply it. So don't expect to click on it and it happen instantaneously. It's doing a lot to do this. You're going to lose a lot of the detail. It is going to add the hair and it's going to be somewhat uniform, you can see, but you've lost all that detail. The last thing that we'll do is we'll give him a surprise look here, and this will change the way he looks. You can see it's completely altering his head. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit OK as a new layer. You can see right here, here's the new layer. And I'm gonna turn this on and off so you can see what it looks like. It's drastically changed his head and smoothed out a lot of the facial features. Is it something that I'm gonna use? Nope. It does what it does. It's very fun, but it's not realistic in a professional's workflow. And that is the new neural engine inside of Adobe Photoshop 2021. The next thing that we have here is they have changed the way the line tool works. So if you draw a line, it now has only 2 points and it makes it much easier to use. They've also added a triangle filter, and I don't have it available because I'm in a custom setup. So let me come over here, click on this, and I'm gonna hold, and you can see right down here, here's the new triangle tool. It works just like the rectangle or ellipse tool. It's just a triangle now. I'm not a graphic designer. It's not something that I'm gonna use. It's really easy to understand how to use. So just to let you know that it is there, but I'm not gonna go through a demonstration and show you how to use a triangle tool, because truthfully, I don't think that many people are actually gonna use it. All right, so the next thing we're gonna take a look is the favorite hair model for select and mask. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna come over here and click on this, and I'm gonna hit select subject, and Photoshop is analyzing this and going to select the subject. Now, with somebody like hair like this, you always need to go into select and mask to refine the edge. So normally we would come over here, grab the refine edge tool and kind of paint along here. One of the new options that we have up here is called refine hair. So now I can just click on this and Photoshop's gonna do it for me. There's no painting, there's no doing anything. It's like, bam, just like that, it is refine the hair edge and I'm ready to go. So I can output that as a selection. In my case, I'll just do a new layer with a mask. Gonna go ahead and click that out and you can see, bam, just like that. We have selected out her hair and it's done a really excellent job. All right. Patterns is located right down here, and what's new, and it's not only new to patterns, it's to brushes, it's the actions, it's to anything. You can search for items now. So let me bring up and look for a watercolor one. Let's see what it's called. This is called water pool. So go ahead and close that out. So what I'll do is I'll come up here and start for water, and you can see as soon as I get to water, it brings up the water different patterns inside of Adobe Photoshop. Now, you can do that in the brush settings. So if I was to come up here and to grab my brush and I was to go up in here, you notice that you're now going to be able to search for your brushes. So if you're looking for a specific brush, you can come up here and search for it. And there's a whole bunch of different things inside of Photoshop that you can now search for inside their own category. Just like the search bar, we can come up here and go into help. And now inside of help, yes, we can search inside of help. But we have these new hands-on tutorials. So now you can click on this. If you want to know how to do something, it doesn't just tell you, it has a tutorial and it will show you how to do this. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to change this back to my regular tool palette up here so I can see what actually is going on. And I am going to flatten this image. So I'm going to go layer, flatten image. And then I'm going to change this into a smart object. And to do that, it's just a right click out there on the layer. And I'm going to go ahead and create this to smart object. Now that I've created that as a smart object, I can come up here and I can apply some different things to it. So let's pinch it. Okay. And we'll just do that to it. And let's do one more thing to it. So I'm going to go up to edit, down to transform. And we're gonna skew it. It's giving you a little disclaimer. You're gonna be like, okay, so we're gonna come up here. We're gonna skew that. I'm gonna apply it. And then you can see we've got the two smart filters right here. All right, now that I've applied that transform to this image, you notice there isn't any area in here that will let us remove that from the smart object, which we couldn't do before. So once you apply to transform, you're kind of stuck with it. Filters. But what I wanna do is actually click up here in the layer, and now notice there's reset transform. So I can reset the transform and go right back to where it was originally. All right, for the next example here, we're gonna talk about the new save to cloud option. And what it allows you to do is to save different versions of the same image on the cloud. However, they only stay up there for 30 days. So you need to make sure that you either allocate it to stay on the cloud forever, or you will lose your image. Now you can't do this locally. You can only do this on the cloud. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna save this to the cloud. And so we're gonna come down here. I'm gonna hit save to cloud. You can see I've done this once because I was testing it out. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save, and it's gonna go ahead and save this image to the cloud. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some changes. So we're gonna come up here to hue saturation, and let's go into red, and we're just gonna remove all the red from this image. And then we're gonna hit Command Shift S, which is save as again. And then we're gonna go ahead and save this same image. I'm not gonna change the file name again. Then we're gonna come back down and we're gonna turn this totally to black and white. I'm gonna hit Command Shift S, and you can see it's saving the different versions of it up here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit save again. And now if I was to go Command O, you can see we have different versions of the same image. So it's saving the different files. So we've got the kind of one where I desaturated the red, and then we've got the black and white here. And it's duplicated that for some reason. I'm not sure. I must have accidentally hit the same thing twice. But it's saving the different versions of the file here. So if I want to go back to the red one, I can go back to the red one. If I want to go back to this one, I can go back to this one. Now, I'm saving as a layered PSD, so this isn't really necessary. This is something that I could do on any computer, so I'm not so sure why this is so fancy. But I guess if you save something as a JPEG, then maybe it would make a difference because you couldn't go back in time with that type of file to alter it. It's new, it's there, it's something that I don't use. I literally do not use cloud documents at this point. I do everything locally. It would just be too slow and too cumbersome. And I'm not working with a group of people. However, if you are working with a group of people and you need to share and give stuff to people and you use the Adobe Cloud, this stuff is here. All right, the next thing that we're going to take a look at is this new content aware tracing tool. So to get this, the first thing you need to do is to be in the pen tool, but we actually have to turn it on. So we're going to go up to preferences, and we need to go into technology previews, which is new. And we need to come in here and click the enable content aware tracing tool. So it's new, it's in this location. You do need to turn it on first. All right, so I've come over here to the pen tool and it's still not here. And because I have a custom toolbar, I might actually have to add this. So what I'm gonna do is go to edit, down to toolbar, then we're gonna look over here and see if we can find it. Here it is right here, content aware tracing tool, which is this new tool we want. So I need to scroll down to where my pen tool is, which is this right here. And then I can drag this in here. And now that tool is going to be available. So I'm going to hit OK. And now when I come over and drop down, we've got the content aware tracing tool. All right, now that I have that tool here, I can come up here and you can see it's highlighting an area. I can go ahead and click and bam, just like that, it automatically highlighted and traced that area. I'm going to hit plus to add. And then I can just keep going out here and getting it to constantly trace any item that I want to inside of Adobe Photoshop. And that's the new content aware tracing tool. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hit revert. We're gonna try something else. We're also gonna go up here to select and just hit select subject. Now the difference between this and select subject is this makes the selection and the other one makes a path. So they're both doing the same thing. This did a really good job on an image like this. I don't really use the pen tool and have to cut out items, but if you do want to do it, you can come in here and try it. My guess, as the background becomes more complicated, the tool is going to have a little bit more difficulty in picking something out. It's here, it's available. I'm not going to go through it because truthfully, I'm not great at the pen tool. I don't ever use it. This is available here if you want to try it out. It's the new content aware tracing tool. You can see right here, this is inside their information for the new release. I'm not going to go in this because I don't use patterns ever. There is a new pattern preview where it helps you to make your own patterns and connect them so that they're seamless, or it allows you as you adjust it to see what the pattern is going to look like inside of the program. The last thing we're going to take a look at is content aware fill, and they've made this a little bit easier to use here. So as we can see, this is the content aware move tool. But basically, if you've made a selection, you can now come into your selection, right click. And what we're going to be able to do here is we're going to be able to do content aware fill without having to come over here inside of this. So you would just make your selection. You're going to right click or control click if you're on a Mac, go to content aware fill, and it's going to allow you to pick the areas that you're doing the content aware fill from. That saves you from having to go up here and then down into content aware film. It's just a quicker and easier way to get to the same spot. And then once you like what it's selected, you just go ahead and do that. Now, it didn't do a perfect job. We can easily come in here and fix this out. But what's new is the access to content aware fill, which is your right click. Well, that's basically it on the main new features inside of Adobe Photoshop 2021. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those below. And as always, don't forget to subscribe.